Hi, I am H.W. Dong. This is the second lecture of my Python tutorial. In this lecture, I will talk about object, variable, and data type. If you are interested in my video, you can subscribe my YouTube channel H.W. Dong. This is my YouTube channel. Okay, let's start. Last lecture, I installed Python interpreter and Jupyter. In my Windows system, I type command to open the command window. Then I switch to D driver and CD my lecture direct. Then I type Jupyter notebook. Jupyter notebook is open. I click open the lecture. In Python, everything is an object, and we can use a name to name this object. This name is called a variable. Each object has three things: type, value, and its ID. We first see type. We can use in the type function to find the data type of an object. For example, the integer 3, its data type is int. .14 is a real number, a floating point number. Press Shift and Enter. Run this cell. We can see the type of this number is float. Click that. We add a new code cell. Type string. The string's data type is str. str is a type of Python string. False is a value for Boolean data type. Boolean data type is type the type is bool. From above, we see each object has a data type, and these four objects has different data type. An object has also an unique ID. It is the address of the object in the memory. You can use the ID function to find the ID of an object. We see the four objects above. Their ID. Shift Int. The for object has different ID. The ID is the address of the object in memory. We can give an object a name. This name is called variable. We can use a variable to refer to an object. For example, we give object integer 2 a name called A. A is the variable of the object 2. You can give pi is a new object. We define the 3 variables, and we can use this variable to refer to these objects. Print A. In fact, print the object integer 2. Print pi. In fact, to print the object 3.4 over 14. The name of a variable can change to other object anytime. For example, we can change the name A to point to refer to the pi, refer to the referring the object. Then A and pi are all refer to the object 3.14. We can print the ID. When A is left to true, its ID is this. Then we change A to leave to the pi, referring the object. So A and pi all refer to the same object. This object. We talk about the type of an object and the ID of the object. Now we talk about more about data type. Data type represent a kind of values which determines what operation can be performed on that data. There are several built-in data type in Python. They can be divided into numerical, non-numerical, Boolean, and a collection and a sequence type. For numerical data type, there are 3 data type: int, float, and complex. Int represent a positive or negative integer number, and a float represent a real number, often called floating point real number, and complex represent a complex number such as 2 plus 3, this kind complex. For example, this is complex, this type is complex, this object type. Boolean, the data type is bool. Bool data type has only two values, true and false. And there are sequence type. A sequence is a ordered collections of similar or different data type. Python has the following built-in sequence data type. str represents a string. A string is a collection of one or more characters put in single, double, or triple quotes. List is also an ordered collections of one or more data type or items, but these items need not to be the same type. We can define a list object using square brackets. Tuple, like list, is also an ordered collection of one or more items, and the elements in a tuple also not necessarily of the same type. We can define a tuple object in parentheses. For example, square brackets is used to define a list. You can see string using signal using signal quote. Using double quote. Or triple quote. Signal quote and double quote to represent a string must in one line, but triple quote represent strings can be in multiple lines. For example, triple quote can define string in multiple number. Python also has a data type called a dictor. That is to represent a dictionary. A dictionary object is an unordered collection of data in a key value pair form. That is, a dictor is a collection of such pairs. We can define a dictor object by curly brackets, for example. Curly brackets. We can visit a value by key. Visit the element of an dictor object by its key. For example, a pair is compared a key and its value. We can use key to find its corresponding value. For example, using square brackets to put the key in the square brackets. We can see we find the dictor object D and give the key in the square bracket. For sequence object, such as string, list, and tuple, we can also use index to visit its element. For example, we can visit its element by index. The index starts from 0. For example, this index is 0, this is 1, this is 2. We use 1 to visit this element. We use we also use 1 as index to visit the second element in this list. For tuple, we can change index 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the last element. 1, 2, 0, 1, 3, 4. 4. If the index out of 0 larger than if the number is n, the index should be 0, 1, 2 to n sub 1. If we use index out of the range, then will be 0. We can also negative integer as index. Suppose this is a list. The positive integer index is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the negative index is the last element is -1. So if the number elements of a sequence is n, then the negative index should be -1 to -n. This index is index of this element, and -1 is index of the last element. For string, we will talk more about string. We just see string are written by enclosing a sequence of characters in single quotes, double quotes, or triple quotes. For a string enclosed in single quotes, how to represent the single quote in the string? For example, if there is a character single quote, how to represent this? Because this string is enclosed with a single quote. To represent this single quote, we should use escape sequence to represent a special character. Escape sequence start with a escape character \. For example, black double quote represent the character quote, double quote, and two \/ represent the character \. So represent this single quote, we should use escape sequence. This is called escape sequence to represent a special character single sequence. The same is this same for double sequence. But this is not work. We can use this. This is a escape sequence to represent \/ and this is another escape sequence to represent single quote. Sometimes there are other often seen escape sequence. For example, this to represent new line, and this escape sequence to represent a bear. If we print printer, there will be here a bell sound. If we run this, we will hear a bell sound. And this is represent new line, for example. This will output this string, then new line, then the other string. This is called a table. This escape sequence to represent a table character. When we print a string with this table character, then there will be output some space. We can use backslash with a number, for example, with a hex number to represent a special character. We can use other number, for example. This number should be greater than this integer. Should not be larger than the integer 255 to represent a character on the keyboard. Okay, this is this lecture. In this lecture, we talk about object. Object has three things: type, ID, and its value. And we also talk about a variable. Variable is the name of an object. We can change the variable to refer to another object anytime. We also talk about data type. Python has some built-in data type, such as int, float, complex, bool, string, list, and tuple, and dict. Okay, thank you for watching my video.